Hey, what's going on, everybody? Tonight we will be doing another movie review, and tonight we will be reviewing probably one of the most controversial movies right now, and that's being Joker. And I just want to say before I start off this movie, a couple of little disclaimers. Number one, I want to make sure it's like very, very clear that we're talking about Joker, the iconic villain in the Batman DC universe. And then the comics has been around for years and so forth. And because the reason I'm bringing this up is because this movie has been there's been a lot of speculation around it about it possibly inciting violence because of things that's happened in the past and threats and other even some movie theaters actually going to ban this movie from actually even hitting the theaters. But before I get into the review as well too, I just want to say for the screening crew today in the Washington D.C. area, they did a really professional job and make sure everyone was safely checked, ID'd, and everything due to the things that's happening in society based around this movie. So I definitely want to, definitely hats off to those guys for being really professional, and they even apologize for the inconvenience. But how could you apologize for the better good of people's safety? So I thought that was really special for the screening crew, staff, and everybody for doing so. But yes, we're talking about the movie Joker tonight, and I gotta say that just for jump, this movie does not incite violence at all. For me, it didn't incite violence at all. But this movie, I can't think of no better way to describe this movie but as a dark, twisted symphony. It was the most craziest, twisted movie where it was just so unpredictable, and I just literally at times didn't know where it was gonna go. But damn, was it so good! Joaquin Phoenix, who plays Joker, who named Arthur Fleck, was amazing. Now, I'm not the best of judge of who should be eligible for an Oscar, but because I've been wrong tragically in the past for saying that was Oscar worthy. But I have to say, like, God, was just a damn good performance by Joaquin in this movie. Absolutely amazing. But this movie, as we've known for years, we've known the iconic Joker, who's just the like he's been Batman's arch nemesis for years, and he's so symbolic. When you say Batman, you think Joker. So we know all about Joker, who's very strategical in his doings, but very crazy and so forth. But how much do we know about Arthur? And this movie takes us into the mindset of Arthur who ultimately and the becoming of Joker. But this movie is so crazy and so mind stretching because in the beginning of this movie, and ultimately we us knowing that what the monster that becomes of Joker, so much in the beginning of this movie makes you sympathize for everything he is. I mean, this guy was just he wanted to be a comedian his whole life. He did things, he did little side jobs where he wanted to just help kids. He wanted to make people smile. He ultimately cared everything about his mother. Everything was about his mother. I mean, his own health and mental health was just an afterthought considering how much he cared about the well-being of his mother. But he was bullied, he was teased, he was tortured, and even coming to find out, he was lied to a lot in this movie. We're at the point where he was always told to smile even through the hardest time, and even with everything that's happening in society with Gotham, him and his family being poor, his mom really who used to work for Thomas Wayne, who's really struggling with her finances, so she's asking for Thomas to maybe be able to help one of his old employees she can ultimately help her and her sons survive in this really tough time while Thomas is trying to run for a mayor of the city. So like, you see how a lot of these things that's happened to him. I mean, he's on tons of medication. He's malnourished because he's all bones. He's suffering from a mental illness, and even with all this, he continues to focus on the point of just being there for his mom while everything else is caving around him. But Zazie Beetz, who plays Sophie, who's what do you call it? We'll say a neighbor in the same apartment place, who was somebody that he met in the elevator, and she did something that was really synonymous with the Joker character, and it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound gesture, and it was weird because that was his way of connecting with her, and we really do see this guy, an author. He goes through the challenges of making all these struggles and so forth, and while Sophie is there as a person that seems to understand him and just as a relief for him for everything that's going on, it ultimately was all an illusion for this guy, to the point that he actually does really legit visits her, because he had thought things were happening between them, or a friendship and a bond and so forth, that never manifested to anything because it was all completely fake. That when he finally goes to visit her, he ultimately ended up with the same gesture that he originally met her off of. When she's done, she made the gesture because her daughter was talking her head off. She was just like, "Oh, kill me now," type of thing. And he found a connection in that, so that when he actually did break into her apartment and see her, and she was like, "Please get out," he did it. And it was ultimately symbolic with the fact that this is Arthur dying, thus born the Joker. And we just really see this movie, the transition from this struggling guy and everything caving around him, and you really do feel bad for him, but he ultimately ends up turning into this monster of the iconic Joker that we've known for a while. But Joaquin's facial expressions is absolutely amazing. The first time he hits the iconic laugh, he nails it. The second time is so freaking hilarious. Matter of fact, there's humor, and this humor is some of the funniest. Like, there's tons of great humor in this movie, and some of like the most abstract, some of the most abstract scenes of this movie. The gore is something else. Matter of fact, there's this one particular scene inside of his apartment that is just like, wow. I mean, I think everybody in the theater was like, oh my god, like it was just absolute crazy. But I thought the music was really good. Actually, I thought it was really good, but it's so crazy that one scene in the trailer where he's dancing on the steps is absolutely... The music in the trailer that they used for that scene was amazing. They used some other music in this movie, and I hated it. It was absolutely the one part that was just like, why? But everything else about the movie was so good, because again, this movie was just a dark, twisted, beautiful symphony for me. It just really, really worked with the character, with his dancing, and the costume design was amazing. I think we all agreed with that by the beginning. By the beginning of the trailers and other things coming out about promoting this movie. But I just think, like, overall, it was a really good movie, and people shouldn't be afraid to go see it. Obviously, safety comes first, and hopefully you're in a safe environment that you can do so. But with all the looming ideas out there about how this incites gun violence and so forth, absolutely not. We know this is fictional. We know this is comic book stuff here. So this Joker character has been around for a long, long time. And even knowing and getting to know the beginning of Arthur, who ultimately transitions into Joker, it's still it's just a really good watch for people to go do. We do get cameos, or sort of say cameos, but yeah, we get cameos by obviously Thomas Wayne. We get young Bruce Wayne. We even get a buffed up, I'm gonna say Arthur, Alfred Pennyworth, buff, like he's big. I didn't even know it was him for a second. I had to, like, for a while I was just like, I think that's Thomas, but I was like, oh no, it's not. So yeah, but yeah, this movie's just really abstract. When you talk about the other iconic people that played Joker, please don't bash me for this, but Jared Leto for some people, and then obviously Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger opened up the door for this unconventional Joker, with the different style of face paint and more of the looseliness of the costume design. Absolutely, you take nothing from that. Joaquin Phoenix adaptation of Joker is right on point. It is absolutely right on point, and it serves its justice absolutely. Now, again, I didn't read too much about about where this movie lies as far as in the DCU. But if this movie is canon, absolutely does leave the potential for the beginning of the Batman movie, because the ending of this Joker movie, the ending of this movie, the beginning of Joker, is actually also the beginning of the Batman story as well too. So to see the Robert Pattinson Batman movie to pick up off of this would be absolutely amazing. But considering that this movie did something so different than any other of these DC movies done, I would just be excited if another villain movie was came out of this, because of what this movie did for as far as like setting the city on fire, and maybe also the promotion of other villains to want to come about, because ultimately Joker stood for taking down the rich, which all of the struggling people in Gotham was behind that. We know that other villains had to come out of this. I wouldn't be too mad if they did like another, like, hey, we'll do Riddler. We could do Penguin, something like that. Yeah, sure, for the people that watch Gotham, you're like, cool, we kind of seen that. But for the people that don't, I would love to see something a little bit different than going like, hey, right back to Batman again. So I would definitely be cool with that. But overall, I thought this movie was really good. I can't wait for people to check this out, because as much as the bad dark cloud is around this movie, and of course the press and everything got above getting reviews out and stuff that, but when the people get out, the fans get out and see it, I think a lot of people are going to appreciate this movie, and y'all going to see the excellence of Joaquin Phoenix in this, because he absolutely killed this role. And for all the hard work and everything I was putting into this movie and so forth, it would just be a damn shame if just that dark cloud of things was to prevent people from going out to see it. But again, everybody, thank y'all guys so much for all the support for all the other reviews and so forth. Always get down there in the comments and talk to me. Let me know. Reach out, man. I'm always here to talk. And I hope you guys stay tuned, because we got some other movies coming up next week I was looking at, and I'm very excited for those as well too. But you're only going to find out if you're locked in right here. See you guys for the next one.